The problem is not the strategy, it's you. Hey everyone, this is Patrick. Welcome to the Client Success Secrets show. And today's Client Success Secret of the day is busting another myth that keeps clients stuck. But before we get on that, let's talk about what Client Success Secrets show is. This is the show that is meant for two types of people. First is the marketing experts who are the big influencers and have the problem of many of their clients are getting stuck in their coaching programs. So this is affecting them on a lot of levels. One of them is that it decreases your impact, and the other is that it also becomes a profitability problem. If you want to know a little more about that profitability problem that I'm talking about, which is not so direct as it seems, you could check out my Facebook profile where I publish lots of content in that regard. The second type of person who should be watching this show is those entrepreneurs who are taking marketing courses, but they can't finish them, right? There's always something that stops them, something holding them back. And the goal is to fill the gaps in those marketing programs that they take so that they can move forward and achieve the results that they were looking for. Awesome. With that said, today we're going to talk about the problem. Is it the strategy or is it the person? Right? That's one of the big debates. And by debate, I mean that the majority of influencers, coaches, business people, entrepreneurs, marketers, they tend to think that they cracked the code, right? So you cracked the code, you had your own breakthrough, figuring out how you were going to start and grow your business online. And then you sort of like worship the process that took you there. You turned it into a system, something repeatable, something that you've had success with. Your clients, many of your clients had success with, but the reality is it's missing a few key pieces that really make them work for everybody. So, and the reason why I'm saying that it's not quite a debate is that most of us are on that side of the discussion, and we don't even realize that there is another side of the discussion where a very small minority of people stand, and that is that not always the strategy is perfect. That not always is about the person not doing the work or being lazy or being unmotivated or having a weak mindset. It's not always about the person. It is and it's not. So, what I love about this show is that we always explore those nuances. We stop making everything black and white, and we actually go deep into what the causes of failure are. And that is, by the way, what makes Patrick me so unique. Because I have gone through so many programs and failed so many times that I have this insider knowledge about what works and what doesn't, and most importantly, why people get stuck and fail. And if we don't acknowledge that failure is part of the journey, and not only for the sake of learning, but something else, we can finally figure out the way forward. Are you with me? So let's talk about today's topic. So this show is always divided in three sections. And the first section is what I call Client Success Secret of the Day. And we're going to bust the myth of the problem is not the strategy, it's you. That's a myth. Section two is going to be the moment where I share about my journey as a business coach, getting from zero to $300,000 within 12 months. And what I'm going to be talking about here in particular is why am I not sticking to positive habits? Action takers like myself who struggle with procrastination. So if you ever thought that you are the kind of person who's lazy or motivated or don't have a strong mindset, you will want to hear this because it's going to completely change your perspective on what it is to stick to positive habits. And as you should know, positive habits are one of the foundational pieces for a successful life. And you will want to hear what I got to say. Section three is where I'm going to reintroduce you. I talk about this in every show to my framework called comeback coaching. I like to call section 3 comeback coaching in action. And here I'm going to talk about how to solidify your personal foundation for business success. Not all of these ideas are super clear right now, but you will definitely want to hang out until the end of the show so that you can learn more about your personal foundation. So let's begin. What about this myth? So is it the problem or the person? Who is it, the strategy or is it the client? Meaning you or your clients, the ones getting stuck. There are a few ways to see this, and I want you to first refer real quick to one of my most important frameworks that I like to call the four walls theory. This four walls theory is the result of researching my own experience through all my experiences of success and failure. This has helped me, as I said earlier, to gain this insider look. But not only I got this broad and unique perspective about failure and success in entrepreneurship, but I also developed this framework called the four walls theory. So we're talking about 5 years of internet failure in one framework. So just to give you a quick overview, I'm not going to touch on every topic, but my theory is that there are four different types of obstacles. So anything, most things, if not all things that keep you stuck, fall into one of these four walls. The first one is getting started, which means that there is something blocking you from starting the thing that you want to start. Now it sounds too obvious, but applied to marketing courses, what it means is that you bought a course, you have a harder time getting started. It also means that you already are in the course, you've taken some lessons, but when it comes to getting started on a certain challenging project, you just don't do it. Or maybe not so challenging, but there's always something that will stop you. And this is very common, by the way. One of the biggest things I stand for is to remove all blame from the coach client or expert client relationship. We don't want to use blame anymore for a few reasons, and the biggest one is that when people are blamed, they tend to feel shame. And when they feel shame, they start thinking that there is something wrong about themselves. And when that happens, things are only going to get worse. That's not going to motivate most people to take action. On the contrary, they're just going to feel worse about themselves and worse. The second wall is what I call overwhelm. And it doesn't need a lot of explanation, but it usually means that you have too much on your plate or that the task at hand is a little too challenging or too big or too long for you to stick around. The third wall is vulnerability. Vulnerability, I'm going to get on Brene Brown's description of vulnerability, not the exact definition, but the way she sees vulnerability. And that it means to expose yourself to a situation where you don't control the outcome. And many of these situations, when in the context of entrepreneurship, could be fear of failure, right? Fear of rejection, fear of criticism, fear of embarrassment, fear of inauthenticity, etc. Fear of how you're going to come across. Like anything that puts you in that situation, which is something that is inevitable in the entrepreneurial journey, is vulnerability. And this is what stops a lot of entrepreneurs from moving forward. Fortunately, there are lots of great solutions to get over that. But I'm not going to get to that today. Wall number 4 is the trickiest one, I must say. And I got stuck at the fourth wall a lot of times, as a matter of fact. So I was able to get things started. I was able to overcome overwhelm. I was able to complete large projects. Vulnerability, I was able to do daring things like telling my story, like launching a 5 days challenge, like starting a Facebook group, like shooting a VSL video, like creating an entire online course, like pushing the launch button on my sales funnel, etc., etc. So, but the wall number four is the trickiest one, and I like to call it getting over failure. Obviously, once you gather up the courage to break through the fears that were holding you back, that fear of vulnerability, you will end up in a very common situation that most people don't talk about, which is failure. Meaning that you dared, you took the bold action, but things didn't turn out the way you wanted. That is part of the journey, people. That is not, no matter how great you think you are as a marketing expert, no matter how much you try to learn and control everything as an entrepreneur, you will encounter failure. So, what happens after? So, when things don't go the way you want or have a painful outcome, you are going to be able to make a choice. So, we're trying to remove completely from the victim stage. We don't want to put ourselves in a victim situation where we just blame circumstances for what's going on, that we just blame the experts for not giving us all the tools. We want to make a choice. Failure is going to be painful, especially if you're not used to it. So what's going to happen is that you're going to have to make a couple of choices. And one of them is that you will want to first not deviate from the main goal. So if your goal is to become a successful entrepreneur in the online world, failing once should not, and quitting should not be on the table ever. Then there are some other possible outcomes that are less drastic. Maybe you were trying a certain strategy, let's call it launching your webinar, and you did your webinar, you had a couple of registrations, but no one bought your offer. So that is another type of failure. And the option is that you could quit on running webinars and choose a different strategy, or you could try the webinar strategy again because you must admit to yourself that doing it once doesn't make you the best at it. Okay, no, not close. So your choice in this case, or I would say in most cases, the wise choice would be to at least try no less than one at a time before you change your strategy. Do you get where I'm going with this? Yeah, when you break through the fourth wall, breaking through the fourth wall, the fourth wall means that you are not going to quit ever. You are not going to get hyper distracted with the next strategy. You're going to stick to a couple of things like unconditional. You're going to focus on long-term success and daily progress, and you will make it. I mean, you gotta be honest with yourself, and I want you to think this both as a marketing expert who's very successful, and also as an entrepreneur who's struggling to, making things happen, right? If you don't stick to one particular thing for long enough, things are never gonna work. That's it. And that's more or less, like very briefly, that is the overview of my four walls theory. Now, how is this related to the problem is you and the strategy? So, in this framework, there are two pieces that I haven't mentioned yet. There is the personal foundation and the business foundation. The personal foundation is the part that focuses on you and your life around you. So you may have heard that having a strong mindset is important. That never will stop being true. You need to strengthen your mindset. You have to have a positive outlook on things. You need to have a mindset that will allow you, that will empower you to take more action instead of restraining you, instead of thinking that you have very few options, instead of thinking that if you don't do something now, you will never do. So, taking all the FOMO out to um, to see failure as opportunities, to see problems as challenges that you will want to overcome, like to see people as people and not tools, right? People are not something that you need in order to be successful. People are people, and you will want to treat them as such, and that's has a lot to do with how you run your business. But that is you. That is the you part, and this is where this is what most people get wrong. There is more to your personal foundation than your mindset. A lot more. And the easiest way for me to just explain it is to look at your life in a holistic way and think of all the different areas that are in it. For instance, if your job, let's say that you are an entrepreneur trying to quit his job, if your job stresses you out too much, it's going to be really hard for other things to go in flow, so to speak, right? And it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It only means that you have a clear component slowing you down, clear factor slowing you down. If you are not healthy in some other way aside from stress, like if you're tired all the time, if you don't sleep well, if you, um, like me, if you have an extremely annoying neighbor that more or less ruins a lot of your time at home, if you have other types of noises, let's say a dog that never stops barking. I know it sounds silly, but it's true. If you have other problems like your house is a mess, if you are so overwhelmed that you can't put things together, and every time you take clothes out of your closet, you don't put them back in an orderly fashion, you have stuff all around your house distracting you constantly. That's your home in this case I'm talking about. That is a factor that is also going to slow down your progress and your overall success. This is the personal foundation. Let's talk about relationships. If you have terrible relationships with your parents or your spouse or your children, that is also going to slow you down. At the end of the day, all the things that I'm saying, what they do to you is train your energy. And if you have too many things draining your energy, everything in life is going to be hard. Again, this is not, I want to add an important nuance to this concept of personal foundation. This doesn't mean you have to have your life in complete order before you can be successful in your business. Again, you don't have to obsess about making everything perfect in your life to experience business success. Business success is something that to some extent is sort of up to the universe. I know some people are going to hate that, but it is true. And the universe may, let's say, decide, it's not really a person, but it may decide that for you to, that a good idea, a good situation to encourage your personal growth is to be successful in business sooner. This person is going to be successful in business in 1 year, not five, and they're going to encounter new problems that are going to push their personal growth. Right? Another option is that this other person is going to spend 5 years not making a sale, so that we can so that this person can experience that personal growth. I know I'm playing with esoteric ideas, but honestly, I don't have to sugarcoat it. I don't have to put any disclaimers about this being crazy stuff. I am convinced that this is how the world works. And it also sort of challenges a lot of mispreconceptions that you have. And this is what I'm hoping I can accomplish. I want you to think, remember what I said earlier in the show. I want you to remember, I want you to challenge everything that you know, and I want you to start thinking beyond black and white. Use logic, use the power of your intuition, but trust me, there are lots of grades. And I'm not talking about the kind of grade that makes you hesitant about everything. And I'm not talking about the kind of grade that makes everything relative. And this is what a lot of people say about the mindset, by the way. Well, oh, if you have a strong mindset, you can go through very shitty situations, but somehow see the bright side. I hate that kind of thinking. I think it lacks compassion, and you know, and I think it's too detached from the real world. And so I don't support this idea of everything is in your mind. There's stuff that is inherently bad, and there is stuff that is inherently harmful for who you are, and we cannot pretend that we can just hack our minds or twist a few cables, a few wires in our brains, and make things different. If it's bad as that, if you need to suffer, you will suffer. I hope you don't. You don't too much. So, if the problem is not this, is the strategy. So, like I said, this is the problem is not always you. A lot of coaches out there say, "Oh, the strategies work. It's you the problem." No, it doesn't work like that. In the context of the four walls theory, you have the personal foundation, which I explained sort of extensively just now, and then the business foundation. If you want to know more about business foundation, I highly encourage you to look at my last episode of Client Success Secrets, where I talk about what a business foundation is and what it can do for your success. So you will want to tune into that. And so you have the personal foundation and the business foundation. And these two work together for you to break through the walls, right? You can get started, you can defeat overwhelm, you can get vulnerable, and you can get over failure consistently. The stronger the foundation is, the easier everything is going to get. And these are some aspects that we tend to ignore. And the reason why we ignore them is that we have this, I know it's something very ingrained in our culture, and that is that we think willpower can do everything. Well, speaking of busting myths, I think I'm gonna get some kind of a word today, or lots of tomatoes thrown at me. But willpower doesn't do everything. You gotta like put that in your mind. And I can speak from experience because I have tried that, and it definitely doesn't work. Like the worst, some of the worst years of my life, not the worst of all, were the times where I was taking the most action to make my business succeed. I made the most money, but in a way where I was simply letting everything else fall apart. I wasn't happy with my self-esteem. I wasn't happy with my confidence. I wasn't happy with my circle of people. I wasn't happy with my home. I had this chronic pain. I had overweight. Like I let everything fall apart as I was being the action taker, right? And speaking of which, let's get on section two, which is what I'm working on. So the question that I posed earlier is, why am I not sticking to positive habits? And I've been wondering this because I know that I'm a super disciplined person. I know that I've had some sort of like a spiritual practice for a long time, meditation, emotional release, gratitude, right? Forgiveness. Like I've done all of those, and I will never stop doing those. I have zero regrets or negative comments about these practices. And for the last couple of months, I had a hard time sticking to my habits. And for instance, I did write down a whole routine where I was doing everything that I wanted to do on any given day. For example, going for a walk, drinking enough water, uh, reading, then having a meaningful conversation with a person. I've been doing that pretty consistently lately. And then, but at night, things got like so bad. I just couldn't stick to the habits. Like, if I tried to meditate, I would just fall asleep. Boom, so fast. Like, I couldn't, I was supposed to follow this meditation where I visualize things and show appreciation for, just about anything in my life. I would just like fall asleep so fast. I hated it. the audio kept playing and I wouldn't hear anything and I wouldn't do anything that I intended to, then I would get on. I would just have a hard time falling asleep. Um, I wanted to read at night as well, but I would also fall asleep. I would feel super tired. Like around 9, 10 p.m., I wanted to get into all my night routine, but I just couldn't. I couldn't hit all of the little tasks that I had, and I was looking forward to it, but I just couldn't. Often I would just like fall asleep just like that, and then I say, why am I tired all the time, right? And this is one important truth that you need to know. If you're a marketing expert or an entrepreneur, you're gonna not only remember this, but also admit that you're doing it too. Are we on this? Do we all suck to some extent? I was having a hard time. I was an action taker who was struggling with procrastination, right? Or not getting things done, or not having enough discipline, right? So what I realized some days ago is something fascinating is that I was able to stick to my habits a little bit more. I was meditating daily. I was falling asleep less, not completely, and I was also reading at night. I'm not back on that habit yet, but it's getting better. And I said, what happened? Whatever happened here? Why does it feel like some things are easier now? I don't get it. And then I started to realize analyze a couple of things. Say, what is going on here? That one of the things that was certainly going on is that I have this incredibly annoying and irresponsible and disrespectful neighbor who's making noise constantly at home. And funny enough, it gets particularly worse at night. So my theory is that this man was draining my energy. You see, the personal foundation comes back, draining my energy so much, causing so much stress, adding so much exhaustion to the most critical hours that were needed for me to have a good sleep, that I would just not do those things. It would be 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. and I would be completely exhausted and I would not feel like doing anything. And all I would do is try to play some kind of relaxing music. Some other times I would just get ridiculously distracted watching a YouTube video or something. That is something I hate doing. I know it's bad for me. And sometimes I struggle, getting away from that. And then I said, why? So there's something that has been studied extensively, which is the idea of energy management. And by the way, managing your energy is a fantastic approach to solidifying that personal foundation, which I'm going to talk about in section 3. So if you have so many things or a few things that become a huge drain of your energy, if you have stuff that you hate taking your attention and your energy away, you're going to feel more tired. Your muscles are going to be more tense. Your sleep is going to be compromised. And once your sleep is compromised, you just enter a cycle where things get worse and worse and worse. In my case, I live in a funny state where I have a lot of things that annoy and stress me, but I also have a lot of routines and techniques and mindset work that help me counterbalance that. So overall, I'm more on the positive side, but I know I wouldn't want to need so much antidote. It would be great for me to eliminate stress a lot more, but it's something eliminating all this external stress is something that takes time and work, and no matter how much I try, it's not going to get solved magically. Like maybe it might, but it's not going to get solved so fast, and it's not completely within my control, which is okay. Not everything needs to be in your control, but the reality is that I often feel like there is too much stress that I need to counterbalance with too much spiritual work and personal development work and positive habits. So, and what happens when you live in that state, like I do, is that you work a lot more for less results. Does that sound familiar before I move forward? You might be in that state right now. Or worse, maybe you don't have that strong routine, those positive habits, that powerful mindset to balance things out. So that means that the stress in your life is pulling you down and down and down. And when that happens, everything is a lot harder. So back to the point, is it the strategy or the person? It can be neither. In fact, in most cases, it's is neither. Your person when a broken personal foundation is going to make everything else more difficult, and you're just going to have a horrible time working on your business, because that's what it's going to seem like. Starting and growing a successful business is in and of itself uncertain and difficult. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna pretend that it is easy and simple. It's not. And on top of that, so let's put it in simpler terms. Starting and growing a successful business is an ambitious goal that you have. And when you have an ambitious goal, creating a solid personal foundation becomes a must. So when you don't have a strong personal foundation, you can have one of two interesting outcomes. One is that you're going to experience business success quickly, but you're going to be deeply dissatisfied with the situation you put yourself in. You may be making money, you may be helping people, you may be doing work that you love, but with a weak foundation, all of that potential joy is going to be diminished. Are you following? Now, the second possible outcome when you have a weak foundation is that you're going to work really hard on your business. You're going to have that mindset, that positive attitude, that can do attitude. You're going to be able to do everything. You're going to hear what your mentors and coaches say. You're going to try every single strategy. You're going to follow every piece of that advice. You're going to take each step, and everything is going to be way too hard. You're going to work a ton and get very little results. You could, work yourself to the bone 30 hours a week and just get one sale in 3 months, or two sales in 3 months, or no sales in 3 months or 6 months. So, do you get where I'm going with this? So, in this, also at the same time, indirectly, it's busting another myth, and that is that your level of business success is matched with your skills at business. Meaning, if you're a business genius, or if you have a lot of experience, a lot of great results, or that's going to immediately translate into how much you make, right? So what you know and do with that knowledge translates directly into how much business success you have. That is false or false. Okay, so depending on what's in store for you in this unpredictable world, you could experience success early just to feel dissatisfied, or you could take really long to see success ever, because there is one goal. The universe has one simple goal for you, and that is encouraging your personal growth. And we have no idea what situation is going to do that for us. Sometimes the universe is going to try one thing and you're not going to respond. So the universe will try something different. And that something different could be something more painful sometimes. And it will certainly be in a lot of cases. And let's talk about section number 3. I'm really like getting um, I, I must admit I feel a little bit vulnerable right now for a couple of reasons. One is that I'm talking about some personal stuff where I don't look my best, and the second reason is that I'm talking about things that most people don't want to talk about, and they don't because they are uncomfortable. They don't because we are challenging the mainstream marketing, and not only mainstream marketing, mainstream personal development. You know, we are I am even questioning how diets work. You know, this whole willpower paradigm is being questioned right now. So I have a couple of strong reasons to be uncomfortable right now, but these things need to be spoken. And by tuning into this show, you are making an investment in yourself. I want you to know that. So are you ready for section three? Comeback coaching in action. How you can solidify your personal foundation for business success. So I could give you dozens of tips to accomplish this, and I would love to. I could talk about this for hours, but I have a different idea. And instead of telling you every little thing that you could be doing for your personal foundation, I'm just going to give you some of the ones that seem to be that I find to be the strongest. Deal. All right. I am, as we speak, I'm pulling out a document where I have some of these fantastic recommendations. So let's talk about this is basic personal development work that you need to do. So if you are a marketing expert with a course and you are not covering these topics, please start doing it. On the other hand, if you are an entrepreneur who's taking marketing courses, I want you to slow down. Okay? It's easy to get carried away with how or about why you bought that course or coaching program and wanting to get started right away. You enter the course, you go like, where is the strategy? I want to do this now. I want to take action. I want to, get results. I want to make my dream a reality. But what is that dream to begin with? So the first tip that I want to give you in relationship to building a solid personal foundation is to create a vision of your life. I'm not gonna give you the whole step by step, but you could look this up, or you could ask me for an extra resource. Let me know if you want that, and you will want to have a clear picture of what it is that you want. But it's not just about asking you what you want. It's more about imagine what it would be like if you were successful in your online business. Imagine that. You're a marketing expert and consider yourself already successful. Expand your vision, take it to the next level. Part of that vision, in my opinion, if you're a marketing expert, should be that you are a world class leader, that you are known for caring about your clients more than anyone else, and that makes you completely unique. That that every money, every dollar you make is in an ethical way, and that your standard for profiting from your business is that you're going to deliver results to every single person that comes your way. I give you a lot of a lot of hints to make that to visualize that. But in other words, once it's all said and done, what does your life look like? What does a day in your life look like? Walk yourself through it. Imagine you're writing that on a journal, saying, this was my day. This was my day. Dear diary, today I woke up at 8 p.m., 8 a.m. And then you write everything that you did in that day, assuming that everything is exactly the way you want. That's the vision. So my second power tip is to gain an unstoppable mindset. So I talked about mindset a lot, and I know the marketing gurus talk about mindset a lot, and you will want to work on this aspect. You don't want to limit yourself by any change, by any common sense, by any like past experience, negative or positive, that somehow created a belief that, in simple terms, it stops you from achieving your full potential. Any belief that stops you from achieving your full potential needs to be addressed and eliminated. So gain an unstoppable mindset. Three is to manage your energy. There are lots of ways to manage your energy. One of them is to look at all the areas of your life and acknowledge all the things that you hate about it. I'm serious. I was talking about the universe and the positive energy and the positive mindset, but I want you to also look in the face at all the things that you hate about your life. And slowly you will be, focusing on them, getting rid of them, and gaining your energy back. This is how you manage your energy. Another way to manage your energy is to let go of the past. This has a lot to do with how you end up building your mindset, by the way. Let go of the past. Any bad circumstance that somebody robbed you, that you failed an exam, that you disappointed your parents, that you had a fight with your spouse, that um, a some kind of physical incident, like you were run over. I hope you didn't. Um, that you broke your ankle, like anything you can imagine, anything that. But sadly, you don't imagine any of these things. These are real stories. Any past incident with a person or some kind of circumstance that you believed at the time that you couldn't do anything about, let it go. Put them in a list, feel the negative emotions, and release. Leave the past in the past. And you know what happens there? Once you leave the past in the past and feel all those emotions that are due feeling, you will gain more energy. I look forward to see you trying these things for your personal foundation. And if you're the kind of person who's just, ever wondered where is the next level, why can't you reach the next level, you must know that this is why. Not working on your personal foundation is the big why for you not experiencing success and fulfillment in your life and business. This was Patrick in the Client Success Secrets Show, episode 8, where we focused on personal development and personal foundation. So I look forward to seeing you on the next live show. We go live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you will want to get in touch with me, make sure you leave me some loving comments in the comment section on YouTube or Facebook. And if you are my Facebook friend, send me a DM anytime. I'll be more than happy to connect with you. And until then, see you next time.